No one talks about the performance pressure the good ones are handling all the time, but I beg to differ. It's an attempt to alter your thoughts on the merry lives of perfectionists. Because it's not like that. They are under a constant pressure of doing things right. They know that everyone's eyes are on their streak of accomplishment, so they dare not break it, else who will stand those phrases of तुमसे ये उम्मीद नहीं थी. The Mom, I want to be just like her. She gets all the attention, the tantalizing recognition, able to devour every moment. She's perfect. And boom, it was not like that. Perfection is not always a badge of honor bedecked on the chest. It can sometimes be a needle too piercing through the heart. Hello all, I'm Devangee Shah. So today I would love to share with you all the rather not so appalling side of perfection. Her story, my story. Please mark it's an independent idea in itself and might challenge the established standards our society cradles. Like literally cradles. To commence with, perfection can be sometimes afflicting too. Fastidious nature of one can hinder the perfection of another. And yes, the entire time I mentioned perfection, it simply means being good at something, the should be of our society. Continuing with, perfection or rather an individual specialization can prove tormenting too. And this whole idea is centric around the assumptions and the expectations the people in this imperfect world possess. Everyone notices the perfection of the good ones, how they are able to erase their arena, how they please everyone. But one thing that is constantly missed out is the expectations it invites. The image they need to manage from being tarnished. An image of who they are, which was not even said by them. Their identity said by completely another person. I take it to be the story of every person sitting in this room. You all must have certainly experienced how few people with their baseless assumptions forces you to think your blessing as a damnation, your attribute of being good at something, your perfection as a curse, of how we all must have felt at a certain phase, tired of being perfect. Though the question remains still intact. The expectations of others were the bars that created her cage. How hard was it to sink in everyone's tutelage, to make sure everyone says, I'm proud of you at the end, to ensure every hand raises for applause at the end, to be the ideal one at every forefront, to be as expected at every trial. The weight of expectations was so larger, poor soul could not encapsulate it at one go. But somehow the good ones or the specialists in respective fields accept this, perhaps to somehow minimize the feelings of judgment and blame. They feel it's okay to give them what they want if it keeps them satiated. Who cares if it's crushing the provider in the process? No one talks about the performance pressure the good ones are handling all the time, but I beg to differ. It's an attempt to alter your thoughts on the merry lives of perfectionists. Because it's not like that. They are under a constant pressure of doing things right. They know that everyone's eyes are on their streak of accomplishment, so they dare not break it, else who will stand those phrases of तुमसे ये उम्मीद नहीं थी. The irony was, it was never her fault. She never asked the world to expect, did she? She never besieged for the favorable privileges, did she? She never said she would succeed, did she? The way the few trusted her made her afraid. The way they took her side sent shivers down her spine. What if someday she shatters their expectations? Their hopes get blown and she is the cause. The sight was polar opposite from what they longed. The words spoken were not what they deemed to hear. For a girl who can't see others in pain, doesn't matter if she says, I'm fine through every disdain. It would be hard to leave others disappointed. It would be hard to see them scowl, to stand the squinted eyes, the snarky glares, try harder phrases, furrowed eyebrows. How could she cope? They felt that by saying, you will do it, or I can imagine you on the stage, I will wait for the day you will make me proud, they were motivating her. But it's not the case always. She couldn't understand. Why would they place their key of happiness in her pocket? Ironically, when hers own seemed to be lost. The chatter in her mind, different voices preaching the same thing. It hurted to hurt them, though she never called the uncanny attention. But who can back the inevitable? I might be wrong too, but this is completely my opinion on how I had viewed it. Just tell her how to do it and she would start fetching. She was never afraid of hard work, will never be. But what if fate knocks on her door strangely? After all, she had also prayed for something feebly. Only if she was not under the surveillance. No one would spare her a glance. She could have her own breathing space away from the uncalled attention. For once, she could put down the societal made crown. But most important, she could fail. She could be imperfect. No raising of doubts, no hurting of hearts. She never knew that a few years of her achievements would invite performance pressure for a lifetime. And now the people have conveniently assumed that is how she is, always at the top, emerging with flying colors. This recounts me of another lovely topic to be discussed upon: assumptions. When your mind is full of presumptions, conclusions, and beliefs, it has no penetration. It just repeats past impressions. Your mind is so choked with assumptions regarding the other person that whenever you meet them, it would not allow you to talk about their individual experiences, to know them for real. And believe me, every person is worthy enough to spare a few moments acquainting yourselves with them. Believing in assumptions is like living in your own bubble. And then, this is how the bubble gets popped. She entered. First time she stepped in. Uncanny stares that gazed, whispers that criticized, mouths that questioned, hands that measured. She grew pensive. Was that all she'll receive? No stares that seeked, no whispers that praised, no mouths that greeted, no hands that shaked. The scene became obstreperous, an atmosphere that stifles. She didn't want to step in but had to because the situation had outgrown her bounds. You see, this is the nuisance with making assumptions. You never know when they turn out to be diametrically opposite from the exact truth. You believe in assumptions, you misunderstand, you take it personally, and then you react by sending emotional poison through your words. And then the most feasible option seems to suppress. Because yes, it was more okay to fulfill their assumptions rather than screaming, "Who told you to assume?" She never came running to you ranting how proficient she was. She knows she is not perfect, still carrying it like a castle of cards. She sat with a sigh. Levels of anxiety were high. There were no tears, but she was crying. There were no fears, yet she was dying. There were no bloodshed, but she was reddened. There were no emotions, but she was broken. Nothing was visible, but she could see. Because the first time didn't happen for the first time. Same comments, different voices. Same looks, different faces. Same scenarios, different places. Same judgments, different minds. Just imagine yourself hearing the same conjectures incessantly. A well-established fact about you which was not even validated. But yeah, they were so busy passing judgments that they could not await your vindication. Sometimes I ponder, isn't it crazy how the ones who know the least about us always have the most to say? Their assumptions were compelling enough for her to add feather to her hat. Doesn't matter if she has to chop her own wings for that. The only win was the adaptability it gave. The unfathomable could not be grasped. Not because she didn't understand or had a mind. Her brilliancy degenerated at the end. She said, judgments were yours. Expectations were yours. Assumptions were yours. Thoughts were yours. Still the fault is mine. Because I couldn't make you reach your dopamine. Because I didn't satisfy your preconceived notions. Because I couldn't stand up to your women fancies. Did I say I had a perfect physique? Did I claim I was the sweet fruit? Then why was I wounded? All you committed, still the crime is mine. So the next time, before making assumptions, try this crazy method called asking. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and a whole big drama for nothing. After all, you have better things on your plate to do. On behalf of all the people who are specialists in their own respective fields, I would like to convey this idea to the world out there that please stop putting undue pressure on them. Your intentions might be right, but the way it's turning out is extreme. They are already carrying a lot of burden. Believe me, they have a heart to feel and a mind to incessantly remind them of their ambitions, to hit them with the pans of self-accountability, to ensure that they are on the right track. And please, don't take it as their imperious attitude. It's not like that. They do thank their stars every day for the skills they possess. It's just that sometimes they aren't sure if what has been put on the stake justifies the rewards. It's like a princess walking with her crown, afraid that it might fall with a slight stumbling, but what she didn't know was that she was the crown herself. The rest were the assumptions and expectations merely, which she actually needs to shed anyway. Thank you.